One of those. Okay, let's see. How do you do this? There we go. Can you make it go up? Nope. That's fine. Face. Can I keep that there? Cool. All right, all right. Welcome everybody. I know it's been a minute since I've been on here, and honestly, I don't even know if there's anybody here right now. But I got the opportunity to do this, and I'm taking it. So shout out to anybody that shows up. All right, we got Nocha. No, am I saying that right? Noah. Noah. Shout out to you, Noah, for coming through. All right. Well, I'm glad to be back on here. I know it's been like another 2 weeks since I've been here, so my apologies for not being here. And I've been very busy with work and podcasting with Marvelous and other stuff that I've been working on. So I appreciate everybody that has come through. Let me see if I can put more light on myself. Uh, that's I think that's the best I could do. Shout out to Carlos. What's up, man? It's good to see you. Man, everything has been wild. I've been watching a lot of these YouTubers here that don't like me. Some that do like me, and some that don't like me. So I thought that was very interesting to watch me watch them make me the center of attention. Aside from that, I hope all of you guys have had a good holidays lately. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving, a good weekend. That being said, a lot of things have happened politically worldwide. If you may, shout out to the Jedi. I was going to do an actual episode with him on Sunday, but unfortunately, I was very tired from Saturday's activities, and my apologies for not doing that. Shout out to Isaiah. Appreciate you. Mm, So, as you guys can see, there's a from the title. You said fuck the haters. Yeah, fuck the haters. They're funny though. They are funny. I got a bunch of people that make up lies and people that won't show their faces talking about me. I thought that was hilarious. Shout out to Only 64. I see you going out there doing your thing. Shout out to you. So going back to what the title said. So blame it all on Trump. I mean, well, there's a bag of things you could blame. You could blame Trump on. Hey, shout out to Mary Lou. And for the most part, yeah, you could definitely blame it on him and everybody under him that are just making no sense as far as where they're moving politically wise, worldwide. I mean, even financially. Let's start with the big story right here, Venezuela. Ve- Only 64 says the blood of Norbies has been shed to set the bar on the internet beef. I saw that. Shout out to the Blood of Jesus channel. They're getting me in trouble. Nah, they're not. They're not. But shout out to them doing their thing. They're the one putting it out there that I got the crown for showing up and getting beaten up. That's what they say. But I don't know. They seem to think that believe that that's the standard as far as compared to all these other YouTubers that are talking a lot of shit. That all they can do is call out fights. If you're such a tough guy, come and fight me. Which I never understood that part. Why are you gonna air it out like that? If you really feel that type of way, why do you go and look for the like with Chola? I didn't go see him so I could get into a fight. I went to go see him so I could talk, make peace, and maybe work some of this out. Clearly, that didn't work out that way I thought it would. He was clear. He was clearly not a man of his word when he said that he was a grown man that has grown man conversations. So that's out the window. I'm glad I was able to show the world that that was That was a lie. Okay, let's see. We have Isaiah that says Maduro needs to step down. Well, I mean that's one thing that definitely needs to be talked about as far as him. Maduro and Trump are negotiating drug prices. Says, how come Marv didn't back you up from AZ? Well, I mean, I don't think he was there with me, so I don't really think anybody can say somebody should have backed me up when they weren't even there. That was me by myself. And for the most part, that's what I do. I wouldn't want anybody to be involved in any kind of danger. For the most part, if I knew that was a possibility, and I took that upon myself. Otherwise, I could have called him, told him, hey, I'm gonna go and see if I could talk to the guy. I need you to come back me up. I could have done that. I could have told Tony, hey, I'm gonna go do this. I could have called a lot of other people to come and back me up, but I didn't. Because for the most part, I don't believe you should put other people in situations that might not come out good. And I rather take that risk upon myself, because that's just the kind of person I am. I rather bring it upon myself than bring it up onto others. We got Lotta's in the house. Shout out to Red Cat Uprock. Norby's. What did you say? Norby's, damn it, are you talking Masa? My president again? Um, I'm about to riot. We got the bipolar chickma in the house. Hey, Norby's major play. It sure seems that way. It sure seems that way. But yeah, that's why when people say, why didn't Mara back me up, why didn't Tony back me up, for the most part, I didn't tell him to do that, and I wouldn't tell him to do that, because again, I refuse to put anybody in any kind of situation where something could happen. I rather, if it's gonna happen, I'd rather it just happen to me, which clearly it did. All right, let's see. We got let's see. It's obvio that Maduro rigged the elections. That is why Turkey is offering Maduro refuge. Oh, that's new. I didn't hear about that. I gotta look that up. I didn't know that was happening. Let's see. We got bipolar Chairman says some guy named Freedom Tube thinks Norby's is Blood of Jesus channel. Really? Why would the funny part is why would I make another channel to talk shit about other people when I could just use my own channel? That doesn't make sense. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure I have more subscribers on my page, so I wouldn't really be getting the message out there if I, use another page. But hey, shout out to those guys. Those guys are hilarious, and I respect them for wanting to push their ideals as far as the beliefs in Jesus, and what it has done to them in their life. I respect that for the most part. Shout out to Jay Risky Business. Is the current administration racist? You know what? I would think as Trump makes it really hard to make to to say concretely that he is a racist. He's one of those that uses words in a way where you can't really put it like that. But that being said, the people under him are probably more than likely racist. Especially that bald guy that looks like that guy from the NBA, the guy that's in charge of the NBA. I forgot his name, but I feel like they're the same guy. Low key, the blood of Jesus has been a nice addition to this drama. You know what? For the most part, only 6'4". I would have to agree with you on that one, because they're not biased. They're not biased at all. They like they said, everyone can get it, and if for the most part they have shown that everyone has gotten it. They speak on everybody. They don't care. They don't play sides. I see that there's a lot of new people that are that are picking sides, that are trying to manipulate people. That for the most part they're all fighting for the position of who's the biggest chismosa out here. You know, they call it the YouTube yarda, but I think that's not even the name at this point. I think it's the YouTube chismosas. That's what I would call it, the YouTube chismosas, because there is nothing yard about these guys. I mean, not even a schoolyard, because schoolyard, at least in a schoolyard, if there's a somebody had a problem, somebody they would still do something about it, you know. So they don't even get school. They're not even a schoolyard, let alone a prison yard. They're neighbors. They're tios that are tias for the most part. Marv knows. As far as I know, Marv knows taekwondo. I think it's taekwondo. That's the Korean practice. The Cheetos. What does that say? The Cheetos. I can't read that. Said Marv should have went there, back you up, thinking he is asking for. Like again, like I said, I I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have kept him there. Or at least told him to go there. Cheese my verse. Yeah, there you go. The cheese my verse. Large cheese me pizza. It happens in a volunteer step down. Okay, you know what? And now let's get back to the topic at hand, which is Trump and Venezuela. Now, I don't know if you guys heard, but he gave out a warning to airlines to not fly over Venezuela space airspace. But he just put it out there that you shouldn't fly your planes over Venezuela airspace. Now, there's a whole lot of wrong in there for the most part because one, we're not at war with Venezuela. As far as I know, we're not at war with them. So there is no declaration of war against Venezuela. There's no there are no rules of engagement that we have to use against that we can legally use against them because we are not at war with them. I haven't heard any declaration of war against Venezuela. And it's crazy because what's happening now with one of the admirals that is now getting the blame for the second attack on a boat that came out of Venezuela, which according to the administration was a narco boat. Okay, so they were delivering those goods. That's their story. What they didn't count on was the people on that boat surviving. So since they survived, those people survived on that boat, it led the White House to now claim that this wasn't the second attack where those people survived was not an attack given by Trump. This attack was solely given by the admiral in charge of that operation. And they say, well, the admiral, had all the rights to call for those actions. So this is a good example of how the White House is throwing the blame at the admiral, which isn't right because for the most part, all these attacks belong to Trump. You can't tell me that the president is not going to know about an attack on a boat using our military. Of course, the president is going to know. He has to know because this is his administration. He is the commander in chief of our military. For him not to know that there's going to be an attack by us on international waters, that's crazy. That doesn't even make sense. Let's see. We got Jada in the house. He says, "Crazy how open politicians are being about invading for all to sell out to Exxon." Yeah, for the most part. I mean, that's the thing, and that's where I always go back to as far as oil. California here has the largest reserve of oil underground. That is what we have. But the problem is that the government, the U.S., does not control that oil and does not own that oil. Private companies own that oil. So when they sell it to the U.S., it comes at a very high price, which is why the U.S. goes out of country to import oil Because if we take over that country, not take over it, but put our own, our own friends that later on become the leader of that country, sell it to us for a cheaper price. It's a win-win. We get cheaper oil, and for the most part, we destroy another country at the same time. And it's all bad because this is one of the reasons why a lot of the countries hate us, because we go to their countries, we uh we destabilize their government, their economy, to make sure it satisfies our goals. You know, we don't need them to succeed because we need to succeed. That is the American way. Like everybody else. Let's see. And that's the part about that's interesting because California has the highest gas prices in the nation. It's always had them. And it makes sense that the rest of the country gets the cheaper oil from imported countries, whereas California, in a sense, doesn't import the oil, but we pay a higher price than everybody else in the nation. It doesn't make sense that we have more oil than Texas and we pay way high. We pay double the national average, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Kazi says normies immigrants do care about land. They want to be in the United States. Well, let's touch on that. Why do they want to be in the United States? Because it has better opportunities to make money. But why is it that only the United States has better opportunity to make money? Well, for the most part, because we destabilize their countries to make sure they don't make better money. Because at the end of the day, the United States needs employees. We need people that'll make money. No, I'm sorry, that would take less money to do a job that a regular citizen would demand more money. I saw this example of this one guy that explained how these elites trick people as far as getting paid less. Because one could say before before slavery, if there ever was a time there was before slavery, because I don't think for the most part every single landowner had slaves from the get-go, and some of them actually did the picking themselves. But for the most part, how did it go? How did it go? Well, the saying goes, while slavery was there, and slavery would be the same comparison as immigrants, where now the regular American or colonial person can't get a job as a picker because now they're slaves. They get mad because now they don't make money. They're getting their jobs taken over by slaves. So the same thing happens here with immigrants. It's the modern day slave where they're not slaves anymore because they get paid. They do have freedom to walk away. Nobody has a thing on their head to keep them there. But they know that they could exploit the fact that they need money because their countries have no money. But that's the problem because farmers use illegal immigration or immigrants to you know do those jobs. They really do take away the job from an American that needs to do that. But the problem is that those Americans want more money. And in the world of capitalism, how dare they ask for more money? Only I can make more money. You guys are my workers. You guys can't demand more money. And there goes the problem. One of the problems with capitalism, that at the end of the day, capitalism is about exploiting workers because you know damn well you're not going to pay them the equal amount that you make or more. You know that they have to make way less money so that you can get the most money. Because at the end of the day, capitalism is about the owner. It's never about employees. It's never about creating jobs. It's about the owner making the most money out of their company. That's capitalism. You exploit your employees. You pay them the sufficient amount that's you're legally bound to pay them, and hope they don't ask you for a raise. And you're right, Mary Lou. They wouldn't last a day. They wouldn't last a day, and it's funny because I think from what I know, I don't know. It was the person that was in charge of that's in charge of agriculture here in the U.S. that made a statement where that these raids were going to continue and mass deportation will happen, but to make up for the loss of workers, they will attempt to tap in to citizens that have applied for Medi-Cal, and they will make those citizens that are under Medi-Cal to go and work the fields. I don't know about you, I don't see that happening, but for them to pretty much tell the American citizen that, hey, you want your Medicare, you want it, you're gonna have to go work those fields and start picking stuff for free. I mean, obviously it's not for free because they're getting Medicare, but the crazy part is that they'll lose it if they don't go and work the fields, which I thought was insane. I was like, wow. I saw I saw this reel where they asked these guys that go to colleges, they ask students about, the economy, the society. They ask them, what would you prefer more in this country? More socialism or more capitalism? Obviously, the ones in college, the students, they go for socialism, because they know that it's there to help those that can that need the help for the most part, and it's more because it's inside everyone's I don't know conscience that we should help others, until they started telling them, okay, well, how do you feel if the person that's getting all these benefits from socialism get free Medicare, get free money, while you work here, while you're studying here in college and working your way through it to get your degrees, and then have to pay the taxes to pay for those benefits for these people that are not doing anything to better themselves. Now, that's a loaded question itself, because how do you know everybody that's on those things are just sitting on their asses and not doing anything, right? So, obviously, for them, when they think about it, well, wait a minute, well, I'm working my ass off through here and they're not getting, well, okay, I guess that makes sense. You know what? Never mind. No socialism. Let's stay with capitalism, because I don't think it's fair that I got to pay benefits after I graduate and get my career. I got to pay these taxes to let these people get benefits while not trying to be not better themselves. So yeah, I don't like. I take it back. No more socialism. Let's go with capitalism. So that's when I throw it at them. Okay, so if they feel so strongly about not wanting socialism, then they should do away with community colleges, because community colleges, for the most part, are a form of socialism. Everyone pays taxes so that these schools can be open to everybody. Everybody after high school, even people that are older, can go to these community colleges, these trade schools, to learn a skill. Now imagine we got rid of that. Imagine we got rid of community college. We're only the people that could go to college are the ones that could afford a private university or a private college, whatever. Where would this country be if that couldn't happen? It would be bad. It would be bad. Now, I'm not saying socialism is the best thing in the world. Nothing is the best thing in the world. Capitalism, although it has its good sides, it has its bad sides also, just like socialism. Because, yeah, people can take advantage of that program and abuse it. Where in capitalism is the same thing. People can use that and abuse it. For the most part, the most thing that people complain about capitalists is that they pay less taxes than everybody else, which is true. A lot of millionaires tend to pay a lot less taxes because they have somebody that knows the law and can manipulate it so that they only have to pay like $10 a year, where the average worker has to pay like $2,000 to $3,000 on their taxes. Unless you got kids, then you might get a tax credit, you know? But like I said, nothing is ever perfect. Socialism isn't perfect. Capitalism isn't perfect. But I would say socialism plays a bigger part as far as this country getting ahead because a lot of these students cannot afford a private university. So they need a community college that is paid for by the taxpayer so that they can get a trade or possibly later on transfer to a university, possibly more likely a public university like UCLA, which is also paid for by the state, or any other UC. But let's see, give me a second. Let's see, Jedi says moneyism needs to go. And I agree. I agree. I definitely agree. Okay, so the thing going on with Venezuela and Trump obviously is for the oil. There is nothing about drugs. And I'll say this for sure. Trump does not care about the drugs coming into his country. Not one bit. And I say this because he recently pardoned a drug lord that was the president of Honduras. Correct me if I'm wrong, people. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure he just recently pardoned a drug lord that was known for smuggling drugs here and in Europe. So when the Trump administration want to say that they're trying to prevent drugs from coming here, I call bullshit on that because they just pardoned. No, you know what? That was the second guy they pardoned. They pardoned the other guy that was in Canada. That I'm pretty sure. Now, again, that one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he also pardoned a guy that was a drug lord from Canada, known for claiming that he was the one that smuggled the most cocaine from Colombia to the U.S. Correct me if I'm pretty sure he also pardoned that guy. Which again doesn't make sense. How can Trump say they're against drugs, but they're pardoning people that are involved in that? They pardoned the crypto guy that was caught stealing a bunch of money that and then screwing over American citizens. He pardoned that guy. When they asked him, why'd you pardon that guy? He said, oh, who? And they gave him the name. He was like, oh, well, you know what? I don't really know that guy. I'm like, wait a minute, how are you going to pardon a guy that you don't know? Which is crazy because his administration makes fun of Biden for his blank pardons that he gave out. And here he is giving pardons to people he doesn't know either. Make it make sense. That being said, I am not a Biden supporter either. I definitely know he made things a lot worse. Well, I don't know. Actually, no, you know what? Maybe it's too soon to say because Trump still got a lot of time to fuck everything up more. So I'm a pause on that. I would definitely say that in 3 years to see how Trump actually did. You know. So again, this is all for Venezuela's oil because we need it. We need it to keep cheap gases going. We need it to make corporate oil corporations richer. And this is just another play at taking the resources of another country that we have no right trying to take, which is an interesting time because a lot of these countries now are starting to talk to each other, are starting to work together. They're about to start making a new organization for all the countries on this side of the world, unless they've already done it. Oh my God, yes, Jedi, you are correct on that one. They recently had the Saudi prince, the one that him and his family are not accused, but people know for a fact that he called a hit on a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen. Trump welcomed him in with open arms, knowing that he put a hit on a U.S. citizen. And this is why I say when people say that Trump is America first, I call bullshit on that. Because how are you gonna have somebody that everyone knows with receipts that him and his family called a hit on a news journalist that is a U.S. citizen, and just welcome him in into the White House like for the like well he is a prince, but giving him the royal treatment. And when they ask him about it, he just shoves it off like nah, that's I want to say he said that's fake, that's not true, but I gotta look back at that press conference. But how are you gonna have somebody that will take out a U.S. citizen and claim that you are for America? Trump is not for America. Trump is for Trump and whatever elite group he is he is in bed with. Because so far he hasn't shown anything that says that he is for America. He has tariffs getting put on. I mean, look at these. Look, recently Costco decided to sue the Trump administration also because they feel that it's unconstitutional what he did putting those tariffs. And Costco, for the most part, they're willing to go all the way with it. They've been very outspoken about Trump's tariffs, and it's about time a big company like Costco steps up because I don't know about you guys, but I definitely feel that those tariffs have definitely hurt us. It's definitely affected us. We're definitely paying a lot more, especially here in California. And it doesn't make sense, you know. Let's see how that happens. Let's see if it happens. Let's see if they win. Because currently the Trump administration is going through quite a lot of lawsuits. But that being said, they're also throwing out a lot of lawsuits also. Isaiah says tariff checks are coming in the mail. Well, I believe it when I see it. I believe it when I see it, but for the most part, I cannot take their word on that because, as far as I know, there is no official paperwork of that money ever coming. So I got to see paperwork. This is damn. What did he say? Oh, easy there. Jenna says agricultural workers disagree with you, Norbies. Okay, you know that's a good one. Do they? I want to know if they do. Jenna says he's protecting the borders from terrorists coming across, but he's the biggest terrorist in the White House as a guest. Ah, okay. He's embracing. I say he's embracing Christian beliefs. He's embracing Christian beliefs while breaking every one of the Ten Commandments. Well, you're not lying there, Jedi. He definitely is breaking a lot of them, not all of them, but for the most part. And that's the other thing, throwing in throwing in Christianity into the mix. It's it's one thing that they keep pushing. That's the one thing, and then again, it's also could be argued every time that they are wrong when it comes to immigration, when it comes to taxation. I mean, you using using God uh, as a excuse for your actions. I mean, it's the same way that the Catholics and the Christians use the genocidal methods they use against the Native Americans here. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I hear, King James was okay with the genocide of Native Americans on this land because he was alive during the time when started committing the genocides, and he did make a comment about it. Check it out. If I'm wrong, let me know. But for the most part, and that's the thing, using religion, using the church, using God as a way to give you an excuse, a pass that you're doing God's work, it's totally wrong. It's totally wrong. Religion and God, and this is why I always give a shout out to my ancestor Benito Juarez, best president of Mexico ever had, part of my tribe. And I say that because he was the first president to separate church and state. He was the one that said church should not be allowed to have so much power in the country. So when he did that, he stripped them of their power. He took away their lands, and he took away the ability for churches not to pay taxes. Bet you guys didn't know that churches in Mexico do have to pay taxes. Unless they found another way, which I'm pretty sure they did, to weasel their way out of paying taxes. Whereas you guys know here in the US, churches do not have to pay taxes. They are exempt. Oh, is he? I didn't know that. That was interesting. I saw that. I saw that clip too. I saw that clip. Bro got super disrespected. Now, Jay, I know everybody sees the painting of him, wearing the Masonic thing, but at the end of the day, love, that doesn't mean you stay with it. You're locked into it. And I say this because actions speak louder than words in this sense. Because of the things he changed definitely will go against something that I guess might be seen as an evil organization like the Freemasons. But for the most part, because especially this is the one that's probably one of the most important ones, that he was the president that outlawed slavery in Mexico. He was the one that put it in the books that nobody can own another human. That was him. Another thing that I'm very proud that he's the one that made it illegal for anybody to own anybody. And at that time it was bad because in Texas there was slavery. There were Americans there that had their lands that were farming and were using slaves. They didn't like that anymore, that they couldn't keep their slaves, especially when Mexico started enforcing it, which is the reason why the Mexican American War happened, because a lot of these landowners that had all these farms wanted to keep their slaves. It's the story I said before. They wanted to keep their slaves. Mexico started telling them, no, if you don't release your slaves, we're going to release them for you and we're going to take away your land. Obviously they didn't like that. So what did they do? They made a terrorist attack against them, claiming that Mexico was attacking their farms and killing people. And they ran to the U.S. with this story, with the U.S. government with this story. And the U.S. ran with it, said, okay, say less. And that is when the Mexican American War started. And that's when the idiot known as Santana sold Mexican land that he had no right to sell, and fucked everything up. And for the most part, I think it's funny that Santana suddenly had a bunch of money to run against Benito Juarez. All of a sudden, he has all this fucking money. Where I'm pretty sure we all know where he got it from. Thankfully, even with all that money, people didn't like the guy for the most part because he sold all that land. How are you gonna try to be the president of Mexico after fucking giving up so much, literally half the country? I probably should. Oh, I didn't know that. Let's see. He says paisas need to keep their legs closed and stopping exploiting kids they can't take care of on their own country. Oh, you know what? It's a necessary it's a necessary thing. And I say this because the only way we're gonna take back all our land is not through fighting. It's not through, taking out all these white people that for some reason we accept the fact that they have a piece of paper that says that these lands belong to them, and we accept it. A piece of paper is the thing that tells us and makes us accept, oh, that's their land because they have a piece of paper that proves it. The fact that we are so brainwashed that we actually accept it, it's insane. Think about it, guys. Think about it. All they have to claim land as theirs is a piece of paper that they themselves signed a long time ago. Oh, this is ours. They didn't pay for it. They didn't trade for it. They didn't do anything for it except genocide a bunch of people. But the one thing they don't count on because they're busy being rich, they're busy having power, is that we're having a whole bunch of kids and they're having a whole lot less kids, which is a good thing because we are now at the time where in 20 years we will be the majority in the United States. We will be the majority in every single country in these two continents. Meaning that by default, we are going to get the power of all these districts, counties, states, and countries. We don't have to fight for it. We just got to keep having kids. Yeah, there you go. There it is. You say the Isaiah says the paper is proof of ownership and prevents theft. But that's what I'm saying. How can they write up a piece of paper and claim it? They can't. They cannot. But we have been brainwashed to accept that these documents are legit. We have to respect and obey these papers. Even though they didn't pay for it, even though they didn't trade for it, even though they came from another country. It's crazy. It's, in a sense, you would say it's comparable to an immigrant coming here, writing up a piece of paper that those lands that they're living in belong to them, and we have to accept it. We have to accept that because they have a piece of paper that claims it's theirs and it was signed by two other people, it's automatically theirs and we gotta obey. That's the that's how brainwashed and conditioned we are. That we have a bunch of Europeans, a bunch of immigrants, and I could call these Europeans immigrants because they migrated here. They're not settlers, they're immigrants. And we got to respect them. Shout out to Nina America. We got to respect a piece of paper that these people wrote that says it's theirs. Like, how fucked up in the mind are we that we do that? That we still do that. Even now, we do that. We are so brainwashed that they own all of it, and we own nothing. We own nothing. You have Nino America here that has a house, probably paid it off, but he doesn't even own it. Because the day he stops paying the taxes on that house is the day the US is gonna come knocking. Time to get out. You didn't pay taxes, so this is ours now. And he can't say anything, even though he paid for it fully. The government has the right to say, no, this is ours now. It's not yours. Sorry, you gotta go. And he has to obey it. He has to leave his house. Because if he doesn't, he'll go to jail. So he has no other choice but to pay those taxes in fear that they will take it away from him if he doesn't. Which is it's a trip that we're so conditioned to obey somebody else's laws and rules that they don't even respect and obey. And you know what? For the most part, look, Nino said there are homestead exemptions. Look it up. And that's the funny part about it. That yeah, that's true. If you bury a relative in your property, it's a cemetery. They can't tax you on something like that. But the fucked up part is about it is that we have Democrats in California that make it illegal for you to bury a relative on your land. So even if you did that, that rule wouldn't apply to you. Isaiah, wrong. Elaborate, please. And this is again, once again, and this is why I tell everyone I don't like Republicans and I don't like Democrats because they play games that help each other out. Shout out to Top Dog. But I don't even know how I ended up talking about this stuff. I totally lost myself. But well, yeah, I was on my rant because it's crazy how we obey these laws of people that aren't even from here. They're not even from here, and they wrote up a bunch of laws that we gotta obey. They didn't pay for any of these lands. They didn't trade for any of it. They just wrote up papers amongst each other and within each other agreed, okay, well, since we signed this is yours, this is mine, this is yours, and this is yours. We all agree, and that's the law. That's the law of the land. It's a trip. It's a trip. That is how we've been conditioned. And this is why I don't like the politics because you know what? For the most part, it's all bad even from the beginning. Even from the beginning when this country was founded, and this is why I say it's funny how Republicans cry about all these uh all these protests, all this what you would call what would you call it? All this violence that you see on the streets from these protesters when that is how this country was founded. This country was founded on violence and protests. The only reason why the 13 colonies separated from the crown was because they didn't like the fact that they couldn't make decisions on what they can do on the land. They had to wait for the king. They had to wait for the king and everybody under the king for them to be able to do something to these lands. So what did they say? They say, fuck you, king. We don't need you guys anymore. We have land. We're growing shit here. We don't need you. So what did they do? They started burning English ports. They started burning imports from England. They started burning down official government English buildings. They started burning them down. And then they started killing their soldiers. And then they claimed war against the English for their freedom. So when a Republican cries, oh, look at them burning all this protesting, they're not Americans. They're wrong. They're 100% American because that is how this country was founded on. They're more American than Republicans for the fact that they're willing to go out there, burn shit, protest, and talk against the government that is not representing their ideals or their needs. It's not us that works for the government, it's the government that works for us. It is every American's right to protest against the government because that is how this country was founded on. That is how it was founded on. Burning shit up and destroying property, government property. But for the most part, sorry about that. I know I went on a rant about that, but it's just a reflect. It's just this is how I see how our government's working as far as what Trump is doing, what the elites are maneuvering. It's almost like if I had to say the elites are on a civil war right now with each other, doing all these changes. Bipolar. That's a good one. But what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Have more kids. And I think that was the rant right there that Isaiah brought upon that, people should stop having kids. Where I say no. They need us to keep having kids because those kids might end up living a very shitty life, a very uh, impoverished life, but we are not weak. We are not dumb. We will get out of it. We would better our life. It has been proven that we could do this and we have done this. But with more of us going through that means that we will eventually overrun these countries. We will be the majority of all the countries and we will take all these political powers and eventually run it. And the crazy part about that is that when we do run it, and we will not be like them. We won't. We will want free healthcare. We wouldn't make all these natural remedies illegal. We won't have welfare because we have no problem building. We have no problem developing. We will build places for these people that have no places. We would create jobs for these people. We don't need a handful of people to become the richest people on these continents. We just want everybody, every family on this side of the world to be able to have a nice meal with their families, not have to worry about their health, ban all processed foods, tax liquor, tax anything that harms the people. Shout out to Chris from Arizona. But for the most part, that's my rant, guys. That's my rant for the day. I went on for about an hour. I got to get to Marvelous. So that being said, hey, do me a favor, hit the like. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Add a comment. Everything helps as far as helping out this channel. And I will see you guys and the Marvelous Minds at 8 o'clock. So join me there if you got the time. As that being said, appreciate all of you guys, and I hope the rest of you have a blessed day. Thank you very much for coming through.